Before beginning the Chapter 6 questions for The Giver by Lois Lowry, please be sure to put your name first and last and your homeroom at the top of your paper. This set of questions is worth a total of 59 points. The directions say, answer the following questions after reading the sections of The Giver by Lois Lowry mentioned above. All short answer and extended response questions must be answered in complete sentences. Question 1 asks you to list all answers that apply in the boxes below. Please list all of the settings. The settings are the places the narrator takes us with Jonas. And the characters. You are listing the people actively involved in the chapter, not just the mentioned names. As a reminder, in previous chapters, there have been characters who are mentioned. For example, Roberto was mentioned in a previous chapter, but he wasn't actively involved. He was just someone that was talked about. Roberto, in that case, would not have been a character that you would have listed in this box. The second question is actually two questions. I've highlighted each of the separate questions in different colors. The question is, why, according to the narrator, would it have been especially sad if they had needed to release Gabriel? What do you think of this? So the first question, highlighted in yellow, asks you why, according to the narrator, it would have been especially sad if they had needed to release Gabriel. You will be able to find the answer to this question in the text. The second question is, what do you think of this? I'm asking for your opinion on this piece of information from the chapter. If you need a sentence starter, I've given you one here. So the first part of the sentence starter is, according to the narrator, it would have been sad if they needed to release Gabriel because you would then finish that sentence and start a new sentence that begins, I think, and then you would explain what you think. For question 3, it says, how is Fritz described? What does this description reveal about the community? So this again is actually two questions. If you need help finding the description of Fritz, it's actually on page 45 of the digital book. I've also given you some sentence starters. So for example, Fritz is described as, and then you would explain how Fritz is described. And the second sentence that you would need to write says, this tells me that the community, and you would tell me what this tells you about the community and the people who live there. When answering this question, it might be a good idea to keep in mind that the way they talk about Fritz tells you a lot about how children are expected to behave in Jonas's community. Question 4, again, is two questions that you need to answer. Which ceremony in Chapter 6 makes you the most uncomfortable? And then explain why it makes you uncomfortable. In order to answer this question, you have to read the entire chapter and make your own decision. You have to explain your decision. You must tell me why the ceremony that you chose makes you uncomfortable. Question 5. Do you have the same certainty as Jonas that his assignment will be the right one? Why or why not? Again, this is two questions. So in order to answer this, you need to read the chapter to find out how sure Jonas is, and then determine, are you that sure? Why or why not? Question 6 tells you to draw a picture of one of the ceremonies from this chapter. Remember, this doesn't have to be a masterpiece, but there may be extra credit in it for you if it is. Pro tip, if your drawing skills are questionable, like mine, label your drawing to make it easier for me to figure out what it is that you drew. The last task for you is the vocabulary. Before you get started on the vocabulary, I want to go over just a few quick things. So to find each word, you can use Control F in a copy of the text to find the word. So you would go to the text, push Control and F at the same time to make your find bar pop up, however that looks. It might be different depending on your internet browser. And then you would type in the word. When you type in the word, it will actually highlight it for you, and it will help you find the sentence. When you're writing the sentence, it might be a long sentence, so write small. You can do it. I believe in you. Make sure you're getting the entire sentence in that box. After you've done that, you need to tell me what you think it means. You need to make this prediction before you look up the definition. How can you predict something that you already know? The last thing you need to do is to actually look up the definition, and you're going to do this using wordcentral.com. So when looking up a word, you're going to pop it into the search bar. So sometimes you're not going to be able to find the exact form of the word. So when I looked up interdependence, I couldn't find up interdependence, but I found interdepend. And I can use that definition, so to depend on one another. So that's how you're going to answer these questions. If you have any other questions or need clarification, don't hesitate to ask. Good luck and get started.